Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about alcohol and other drugs in a presentation titled It's All AOD to Me, the Alcohol and Other Drug Prevention Committee. We are your co-hosts. My name is Shala Nadam Malai. I'm the Assistant Director with the Office of Student Rights and Responsibilities, and I chair the AOD Prevention Committee. A little bit about myself. I have a Master's of Science in Educational Leadership and Administration from A&M Corpus, and I'm currently pursuing my Master's of Jurisprudence in Business Law and Compliance from the A&M School of Law. I started my experience in higher education as a graduate assistant at A&M Corpus Christi. I was the AOD Prevention Graduate Assistant, where I assisted with various types of prevention efforts. I was charged with the Alcohol EDU course, with programming and compliance as well. From there, I moved up to the AOD Prevention Coordinator, and I moved to A&M San Antonio over 5 years ago in my current role as Student Conduct Officer.
Thanks, Shala. So my name is Joanna Vella, and I am the clinic coordinator at Student Counseling and Wellness Services. So I have a master's degree in counseling and am a licensed professional counselor and also a licensed chemical dependency counselor. I am currently the only LCDC that we have on our staff, and so I bring that area of expertise specifically related to treatment of alcohol and other drug concerns. Prior to coming to A&M San Antonio, I worked for 4 years in a residential drug and alcohol treatment center where I got real hands-on experience in treating substance use concerns. Then I transitioned to A&M San Antonio, where I've been a counselor in student counseling and wellness for 4 years and have served as the AOD liaison for our clinic. So I sit on the AOD committee and help with programming efforts as well as psychoeducation and other resources to help our students that might be in need to address their alcohol or other drug concerns.
Thanks, Joanna.
You're welcome.
The objectives of this presentation include discussing alcohol sales and drinking trends during COVID-19 in the state of Texas, highlighting what we do on campus with the Alcohol and Drug Prevention Committee and various best practices that we use, including late night alternative programming, our social norms campaign, and alcohol EDU, and review various campus resources and referral processes. First and foremost, the World Health Organization advised that alcohol consumption should be minimized at any time, but particularly during the COVID-19 pandemic. Let's review Texas alcohol sales. Most of this information is from the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission, or TABC. Let's review changes in overall availability in the state of Texas. So as of March, when Texas started to go into quarantine during COVID-19, Governor Abbott issued an initial waiver for to-go sales for alcohol. Now, this had really not been done before, where alcohol can be provided in a means for to-go, such as a drive-through like Taco Cabana or from a restaurant. With that, you can see a trend throughout summertime until now that Governor Abbott supported permanent to-go sales, and he moves forward with reiterating that he would like to see this as a permanent feature within restaurants. So let's review per capita consumption in Texas from 2019 to 2020. So we can see across the board, there's been an increase of types of alcohol purchases across the board. So from April 2019 to April 2020, we see that distilled spirits have been up 19%, wine was up 23%, beer up 16%, and ale up 20%. So changes in alcohol sales, let's look at the data. We can see that there's been increased sales across the board. Off-premise sales of alcohol jumped by 55% in 2020 for the week ending in March 21 compared to that same week just a year earlier. We can see ready-to-drink cocktails rose by 106%. consumers purchased 90% more beer and considerably more boxed wine. The week after, overall sales were still up by 22%. This is the most up-to-date data we have at the time of this recording. So the question still is, were people stockpiling, or was there an increased consumption based off various stressors? Our question in higher education and on our campus is, could it be easier for underage persons to obtain alcohol? Well, to answer that, let's look at the changes in alcohol availability due to COVID-19. So once again, we see a change in to-go sales. When the pandemic started and the state moved forward to quarantine, we saw that liquor stores were still considered essential and stayed open. Bars and restaurants, for the most part, closed in various areas, so restaurants had to shift to pickup or delivery. With that, restaurants were able to sell ready-to-drink cocktails to go and bottles of hard liquor. This had never been done before. Bottles of hard liquor could only be purchased within liquor stores, but with the change in to-go sales, now restaurants could sell a bucket of margaritas and a bottle of alcohol from restaurants or to go. Also, we see grocery home delivery. They're able to sell beer and wine. And we even see that there are various apps that can deliver alcohol as well. Based off the changes in availability, we think that it could be easier for underage persons to obtain alcohol. Overall, we know that college drinking is a concern. And with the increase in consumption with COVID-19, we may likely see an increase in the fall due to various increase of stressors. We wanted to discuss the Alcohol and Other Drug Prevention Committee and ways we can assist with curbing the negative effects of alcohol and drug use by our students. So what exactly does the AOD Prevention Committee do? We utilize best practice education such as our late night alternative programming, campus prevention training and risk management, social norms campaign to educate various university persons. We also have our mandated alcohol EDU course, which is geared towards those high-risk populations such as first-time freshmen and housing students. We are also a committee that is a collaboration of stakeholders across campus within student engagement and academic resources. And for Drug-Free Schools and Communities Act compliance under the Department of Education, we uphold the various compliance documents mandated. So just a little bit about us. The Alcohol and Drug Prevention Committee started back in January 2017. This was with the knowledge that in the fall of that year, Esperanza Hall, or our substance-free housing, was going to be opened. So as soon as Esperanza Hall opened, we started our late night alternative programming called Jaguar First Fridays. The next year, we were able to start mandating the alcohol EDU educational course for students. So as of August 2018, any incoming student under the age of 21 was mandated to take that two-part course. Also, we started our social norms campaign of Jaguar Step In, Speak Up, and Support. A year later, we started our social media called Jaguar First Fridays on Instagram and Facebook. And that summer, we were also awarded the inaugural A&M San Antonio Jaguar Excellence Award for our committee, and our undergraduate student worker was awarded the Undergraduate Student Worker of the Year. Moving forward, we hope to continue in our educational and prevention efforts on campus. This is just a snapshot of who the committee is made up of. So as you can see, the various committee members range based off of areas that we might see high risk populations, such as housing, first year experience, student involvement, recreational sports, and soon to be athletics. So let's review some best practices that we do use on campus. We utilize the NIAAA matrix. So this is the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism. They created a matrix to identify effective alcohol interventions. So this was recently updated in 2019, and it establishes 2 levels of strategy: individual and environmental. So with individual, that is students' own level of education and behavior, while environmental is campus community. So this matrix allows us to review best practices and compare it to cost, effectiveness, and various types of resources that we might need. So one of those that we utilize is our social norms campaign. Our social norms is logoed Jaguar's Step In, Speak Up, Support. So with this campaign, we review bystander intervention, advocating for oneself or others, understanding social norms around alcohol, resources on campus, and safe behaviors. Here are a few examples of the campaign that we have. And also, if you're lucky enough to have been in Esperanza Hall, we have elevator wraps as well. So we have banners, flyers, and social media all around our social norms campaign. We also have t-shirts that we make every year in the fall that we hand out during President's Picnic with a logo on it. We also utilize our late night alternative programming. So this is our Jaguar First Fridays. This was started when Esperanza Hall opened, and we are going into our 4th year. So after completing this for a couple years, the committee wanted to move forward and in our 3rd year, assess the effectiveness of our Jaguar First Fridays. So fall 2019 and spring 2020, we move forward with a voluntary assessment for all of those members who were able to come out to the events. Keep in mind that due to COVID-19, some of our events in spring 2020, we were not able to move forward with. So overall, we had about 54% of those who attended complete the assessment, or 161 students. Overall, we had 86% of students agreed that the event provided them with an alternative to higher risk activities, such as drinking or other drug use. And 96% said that they would recommend our events to others. Of the 161 students, 51 students were able to name an impactful aspect from our Step In, Speak Up, Support Social Norms campaign. Some even listed what they had learned, including advocating for themselves and others, stepping in when something happens, learning about the different resources offered on campus, and it's important to use your voice if you have the opportunity. We were also curious about the demographics. Who exactly was attending the events? For late night alternative events, the start of this program was centered for those housing students and first year students. So overall, we found that the age of our students, about 75% were under the age of 21, while 25% were 21 or over. Also, the majority of our attendees were freshmen, but we did notice a large number of sophomores and juniors attending. And what surprised us was that there was a large number of off-campus students that were attending our events. Overall, it seems that our Jaguar First Friday events were still effective, and we continue to do those into fall 2020. Another best practice that we utilize is our online alcohol education course. For this, we go through Everfi and we utilize the alcohol education for undergraduate students. This is a two-part course where it goes through various modules and surveys. And with that, we're able to find various information about who our students are and what their alcohol use may look like. So with the course, it breaks down the various people who take the course into drinker categories. So it asks, how much alcohol have you had within the past 2 weeks? An abstainer is they haven't drank in over a year. A non-drinker is they haven't had alcohol in the past 2 weeks. A moderate drinker in the past 2 weeks, males 1 to 4 drinks, females 1 to 3. Heavy episodic drinkers in the past 2 weeks are male with 5 to 9 drinks and females 4 to 7 drinks. And problematic drinkers, which are 10 plus drinks for males or 8 plus drinks for females. So in understanding the different drinker categories, we can look at the data and see what is our campus look like. So since we started the mandated course in 2018, we're able to compare 2 different years. So we can see that we have a high level of abstainers on our campus, 46.3%, and also a high level of non-drinkers. So we can see that we have over 75% of the students who completed the course, or those under the age of 21, choose not to drink. In relation, the next year, we have a higher level of abstainers. And as you can see overall, we have a slightly higher number, percentage of those who choose not to drink. So with the alcohol EDU course, it is a popular course among universities. So they're able to pull national aggregate information from other universities that utilize the course. So I became curious and wanted to see, how does our university compare? So I was able to take the national aggregate data from Alcohol EDU, compare it to our 2018-2019 year and our 2019-2020 year. So this is broken down into drinker categories. And we can see that compared to the national aggregate data, our campus has a higher number of abstainers. We have a high number of non-drinkers, and we have a lower number of the other types of categories. So overall, we can see that our campus compared to national data have a higher number of abstainers and non-drinkers, or we have a lower number of heavy episodic drinkers. The course also asked various questions. The course wanted to see if students, if they were prepared for various types of events based off of the course itself. So the question is, A&M San Antonio students reported that Alcohol EDU prepared them to prevent an alcohol overdose, prepared them to help someone who may have alcohol poisoning, help establish a plan ahead of time to make responsible decisions about drinking, and change their perceptions of other people's drinking. So in reviewing this, this was where they could answer 1 to 7 from not prepared all the way to completely prepared. For this data, we only took out the information of students who said that they felt prepared or completely prepared. So we can see that those students who said that the course prepared them to prevent an alcohol overdose, we have our 2018-2019 year, and in blue, we have our 2019-2020 year. So in comparison, we can see that 85% said that prepared them compared to 81%. The course prepared them to help someone who may have alcohol poisoning, 86% in 18-19 and 83% in 19-20. The course helped them establish a plan ahead of time to make responsible decisions about drinking. 74% in 1819, and 83%, an increase of 9% for our 1920 year. And then this is our largest jump. The alcohol EDU course changed their perceptions of others' drinking behaviors. It was 69% in 1819 and 87% in 1920. So overall, we do a lot of prevention efforts on campus. However, we know there might be times when students may need further assistance and even referrals. So we want to review with you what you may need to know if referring students who are concerned about their substance use. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Joanna with Student Counseling and Wellness.
All right, so as Shella mentioned, we are going to be discussing some different resources that are available to students on campus that might be struggling with drugs or alcohol use. Given that we are in kind of a remote world right now, especially in the fall semester, I think it's going to be even increasingly important for us to all pay attention to the students around us, whether that be faculty, staff, to be able to notice if they might be struggling with anything that might be overlooked given that we are somewhat virtual. So I'm going to go through a few red flags to keep an eye out for first, and then we'll talk about some ways to get these students connected. So first, red flags. These are just some things that might be indicators that individuals are struggling with drug or alcohol use. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's what's going on, but it could be. And so some things to pay attention to would be any like drastic change in mood and personality, especially if you know that they have a history of drug or alcohol use. Also, changes in health that there's not really an answer for can potentially be a reason. Another thing would be difficulty in class or work all of a sudden, and uncharacteristic dishonesty that's kind of coming out of nowhere. Also, financial or legal concerns, as well as relationship distress that could be coming up. Especially if you notice someone isolating or not associating with their friends and family the way that they used to. These might be some concerns to pay attention to that might be a reason to then refer the student to some of these options that we're going to discuss. So a few of our different resources that are available on campus for intervention are the anonymous screenings that we have on our Student Counseling and Wellness website, care reports, and then also referring directly to our office. So I'm going to go through each one of these three resources a little bit more in depth to explain how to access them and how to connect a student with these resources. So the first one is going to be these anonymous mental health screenings that are available on our website. So these screenings would be appropriate for someone that has a low-level concern with substance use. So maybe it's a student coming to an RA saying, hey, yeah, sometimes I think maybe I drink a little too much, but I'm not really sure. Or maybe the same thing happening with a faculty or staff member where a student might open up and say, hey, yeah, sometimes I wonder if maybe I should cut back on my marijuana use, but I don't really think it's all that big of a deal. So these screenings can just give students an idea of kind of where they stand as far as their substance use and whether or not they could benefit from some additional support. So these screenings don't go directly to our office. We don't get any information aside from just that somebody took one of your screenings. So they're completely anonymous. To access them, you'll go to the main website and scroll down to the very bottom at tamusa.edu, and you can see here at the bottom this mental health services link. That's going to take you to the Student Counseling and Wellness website. Once you get to our website, you're going to see up at the top of the page this menu option, these 6 buttons, and you're going to click this bottom left one that says anonymous online screenings. That's going to take the student to a page that starts up the process, and it gives them some options of different screenings to choose from. So you'll notice here there's a variety of different types of screenings that are offered through this website. I've highlighted the ones that are going to be more applicable to drugs or alcohol. So one here, worried about my drinking habits, worried about opioid use, or I'm having difficulty controlling my substance use. You'll notice though that there's also different ones that can be helpful, feeling sad, down, or empty, constantly worried, nervous, or stressed. And each of these quick screenings just gives students an indication of if their concerns are kind of in the normal range or if it might be something that they need some additional support in helping. You'll notice too at the very top it says that there's a wide range screen if a student's not really sure what they're experiencing. And this will kind of take them through questions that hit on a variety of these different areas. So another option for referrals is care reports. Care reports are something that are operated by the Dean of Students office. And these reports can be made anonymously to where the student would not know who made the report. But we do require all the information for the reporter to where if the Dean of Students office needed to reach out to the reporter to get some more information, they could do so. But you do have the option to remain anonymous to the student of concern. So the care reports is a really good option for someone that you feel like could use some intervention from the university if they've exhibited some level of concern for you. So kind of low to moderate level concern. And this would be something maybe if a student is not willing to call counseling or isn't wanting to support, but you feel like, oh man, I think they really could use someone to reach out to them. So these are seen on business days and responded to in 48 hours. So this is why this would not necessarily be appropriate for a high level, more crisis type situation, because there is a 48-hour window that those reports are responded to. But the Dean of Students case manager will reach out to the student and then offer a variety of resources and help connect them to whatever resources they might need, which might include connecting them to student counseling and wellness if the student is interested. Care reports are applicable for a lot of different reasons. If you're just concerned about a student's mood changing suddenly, or if they've gone through a recent loss, but substance use concern is definitely a reason to consider making a care report. To access the care report system, what you'll do is go to the main website and go down to the bottom of the page and click on file a report. And it's going to take you to the page that you can pick care report, and it'll explain more about the process, and it will talk about common reasons people file care reports and how to do so. So very simple process and a really good way that you know that someone is going to reach out to the student and assist them as needed. The other option for referral is referring directly to our office at Student Counseling and Wellness Services. And you can do that for anything from low level to high level concerns. So one way to refer a student directly to our office is to encourage them to call our office or even offer to call with the student if the student is open to that. Sometimes it can be helpful just to have that warm handoff if they've already kind of built some trust in you, then to know that you're going to make that call with them could be really helpful. In normal circumstances, we might even encourage a staff member to walk a student over to Student Counseling and Wellness. But right now, due to COVID concerns in the fall, we are encouraging calling rather than walking over. So that's a first option, is to just call with a student or to encourage them to call and set up an appointment. Another option is to call us independently without the student there to consult. So we offer consultation for staff, faculty, parents, friends, anybody during business hours if you're concerned about a student. And so you would speak with our on-call clinician who could talk with you about your concerns and then give some recommendations on next steps. So one option is that we can offer a courtesy call to the student directly from our office. So if that's something that Maybe the student was hesitant to call, but you said, I still feel like I really need to contact student counseling and wellness, so they probably will be reaching out to you. And the student says, okay. So that might be a time that a courtesy call would be helpful. So we could reach out to them and offer support. We can't require anybody to come to counseling. We can't make them come, but we can offer those resources and help connect them to whatever resources they might need, even if that's on or off campus. And then the last bullet here is just to keep in mind to call UPD or 911 if this is a life-threatening emergency. So with drug and alcohol use, there comes some potential medical concerns that could be life-threatening. And so if it is a life-threatening situation, please do not call our office. Please contact UPD or 911 if it's, depending on if it's on campus or off campus, to get the student medical attention. After the medical emergency is resolved, then our office could be contacted to help support the student. But anything that is a crisis level, life-threatening type situation would need to go to 911 or UPD. But if somebody is a high level concern and you're wanting some immediate consultation and intervention from our office, the best way is to contact us directly. And our number is 210-784-1331. A great way to reach out to us. Your normal business hours. So we're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. If it's after hours, you would again need to defer to UPD for any concerns, or we have a variety of crisis after hour resources available on our website. So I want to spend a few minutes talking about what happens after a referral is made to student counseling and wellness. There's times where we have faculty or staff that have sent a student our way, and then they kind of have questions about what might happen afterwards. And so we like to explain a little bit about the process. So the first thing that happens is we have a variety of screening questions that we ask every student that contacts our office to help screen for crisis appointments. If they meet the criteria for a crisis, and that's usually things like having active thoughts of wanting to kill themselves or someone else, there had a recent sexual assault, recent loss, symptoms of psychosis, those types of things, they would be eligible for a same-day crisis appointment. If they do not answer yes to any of our crisis screening questions, then they would be scheduled for an initial consultation appointment. Those initial consultation appointments are usually scheduled same day, next day, maybe 2-3 days out at the most. We are grateful to be able to have a lot of availability blocked off on our schedules for initial consultation appointments, so we can get students in relatively quickly and not having them have to wait 2 weeks for a first interaction with a therapist. In that initial consultation appointment, the clinician will review over the student's concerns and their symptoms, and then give treatment recommendations. Sometimes students are referred to brief therapy with our office as a treatment recommendation, but there's other times that students might have needs that are outside of what we offer at Student Counseling and Wellness, and so we can help connect them to those resources in the community. With substance use concerns in particular, we would be able to treat very low level concerns in our office, but anything higher level concern would probably need to be handled at a specialized treatment facility or resource in the community, just because there are some additional things that we can't provide in our office, like UAs, drug testing that typically happens as a part of those treatment programs. And so there's a variety of levels of care for substance use concern, anything from outpatient all the way up to medically assisted detox. And so we would help make that determination of what level of care would be appropriate for this student, and then help connect them to that resource. Again, we do offer case management, so we would help them get connected with the community provider and make sure that it was an effective bridge to the community. We never leave our students hanging and just send them a list of resources and say, okay, good luck. we really walk them through that referral process. So if you send a student our way, they may or may not engage in ongoing care with our office for a variety of reasons, but just know that we will assess their needs and get them connected to whatever resource they need, as long as they're willing to participate as well. Okay, so lastly, just as we wrap up, if you have any questions about today's presentation, feel free to reach out to me or Shala. Our email addresses are here on this last slide. And we are really glad that you were here today to learn more about alcohol and other drugs and prevention efforts on campus, what we're doing, and how we're supporting our students along the way. We do believe that this is a very important issue for our campus community, and it's an area that we've really effectively been working on and hope to continue to, and are glad that you were able to learn a little bit more about some of what we do with our committee. So thanks for joining us. Bye.